Hi, we're here today at the WAC Gallery here in London at Waterloo, and we're about to go into this exhibition which is titled Nigeria at 100, Transforming a British Experiment. So here we have artists from the Nigerian Art Society showcasing artworks which they've all made responding to the theme of the evening, which is looking at the amalgamation of the north and the south of Nigeria in 1914 and celebrating that 100 in this present year. So we're going to take a journey inside and have a look at the artist's work and also be interviewing them and hearing about their inspirations and their ideas towards the theme and how they're all looking forward and what they all think about Nigeria here. Celebrating our independence today also, and also thinking about Nigeria at 100 after the amalgamation of the north and south.
My name is Lamide, and I am interviewing Ray Soka tonight, and we are looking at his piece, Reaching Out. So Ray, please tell us a little bit more about this piece and yourself as an artist.
Yeah, I'm Ray Soka. I've been practicing in the United Kingdom for quite a couple of years, about over 20 years, and we're trying to push the African frontier for art, I mean, as much as we can. But basically, if you look at this work, this is a very important piece of work, because this actually is my assessment of what's going on with regards Nigeria 54 years of independence, and I'm trying to capture the mood or what's happening, because basically, if you look at it, it's the theme of this work is reaching out. And I'm beginning to question, okay, how far are we going to reach out? Because we've got this strong African tradition about, the family, you've got to help members of the family or whatever. But the bottom line is what we are having in Nigeria today is a question of people actually. For instance, I'll give you an example. People train their kids. They go to university, they go to secondary schools, universities, or whatever. But they end up, when they finish their education, you expect, okay, this guy, these what do they call it, the new kids who went to school have now finished school, you understand? So it's their time to actually support the older generation, to actually send them there. But that's not the case. What we're having now is this whole reaching out thing is being extended so far, you understand? And we do have a situation where, like, I mean, what's the point, you understand? What's the point in sending kids to school? Because if you look at the walk itself, you understand, you've got a couple of hands reaching out, you understand? But when is that going to stop? Because you've got to think, say, okay, after after the kids have been trained, you expect them to come back home and help us out. We, the elderly people, I'm about 50, I'm over 50. But the problem now is that we've got to keep on supporting these kids. I mean, recently in Nigeria, we had a situation where how many people, was it for the immigration services, they had about, how many, 2,000 jobs going or whatever, you understand? And we had almost over 100,000 people applying for that, you know? So it's like, I mean, when is this whole thing going to end? So this is what I'm questioning the whole concept about, okay, let's reaching out thing. How far do we have to reach out? But it basically boils down to the fact that, look, the infrastructure is failing us. And that's my conclusion about where we are 54 years or 100 years after, whatever, where we are today.
Thank you very much for this beautiful work that you have given us to here today. Earlier you mentioned that there's a lot of good things happening in the Nigerian art scene. Could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you actually look at it, I mean, the creative part, I mean, look at the film industry in Nigeria, look at the music industry. That's brilliant, you know, but where we fall apart is actually the actual infrastructure. You understand, like the healthcare, the roads, you know. I mean, there are other things, you understand. There's so many things that are missing in Nigeria today, you understand. And it's not, I don't think it has to do, because I mean, I personally, if you ask me, you understand, I keep telling people, I said, even if we walked on diamond stones, you understand, there will still be poverty in Nigeria. And that doesn't have anything to do with anything apart from the fact that we have a screwed up leadership that don't have a vision, and they're just time wasters, really. They're just, I don't know, I'm not impressed, put it that way.
But you do believe there's hope?
There's hope, but I mean, not with this bunch around.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Kunle Adegboroye. Please, could you tell us a bit about more of your work? This one, When We Were Kings.
Right. When We Were Kings is a celebration of Nigeria. Nigeria is 100 years old today, and in those days, Nigeria used to be exceptionally good. We have a lot of activities that goes on, and that's what the paint is all about. Unlike the negative activities that is going on in the society now, like the kidnapping and everything. So that is basically what this title, When We Were Kings, is all about. So it's basically taking into consideration the three major parts of Nigeria, the north, the south, and the west. And the figures there, in 1914, when the amalgamation of Nigeria was made by Lord Lugard, we had a dream, and at the end of the day, the dream was not, up to this time, has not been materialized. So that was, in those days we said we were kings because people were happy, jobs were there. I know a lot of people that traveled came to England to study, and they went back to Nigeria to set up businesses, but eventually something went wrong somewhere, and the whole thing was upside down. And today, unfortunately, there's so many negative thoughts about Nigeria.
Yes, I see it's more of a collage, like you said, of the different parts of what makes Nigeria. So you said that it was a dream that went a little bit into a nightmare.
Yes.
Yes. So how do you think we can revive that dream again?
Well, we just have to be positive and be honest and be sincere in whatever we do. And having said that Nigeria is the way God does this negative, we still have very good Nigerians that are trying to make things possible. But I personally think probably because of the population or something, there are so many bad eggs within the system. But there are a lot of people. For instance, what we are doing is a positive thinking about Nigeria.
Yes.
Unlike what we have about Nigerians doing this in the Western world. This is a positive thing, and these are things that we will keep doing. We keep striving, and a lot of positive people will still keep working. We will not give up until Nigeria becomes be in the rightful place where it's supposed to be. We have the human resources, we have the energy, we have the money, we have everything in Nigeria. So Nigeria should not be where it is today. Nigeria should be a world leader because we have intelligent people all over sectors in Nigeria. So I believe with more efforts, with God on our side, I believe we will get there.
My name is Dotun Adegbite. I am an artist. Art is my first love. I'm a member of the Nigeria Art Society. And this exhibition is called Nigeria at 100, Transforming a British Experiment. This is trying to portray Nigeria from when we started 100 years ago and how far we've gone today in terms of our political, social, and economic existence. Now, this theme is chosen in order to focus on Nigeria and the way forward, basically. Now, I have produced two works here. The first one over there is acrylic on canvas, and it's called The Vision. And as we all know, you need a vision so that you have something to follow. So you have a goal, you have an endpoint, you have an outcome. Without a vision, you will be all over the place. But unfortunately, even though we have a vision, the vision is currently divided. It's divided because there are vested interests. It's divided because we are yet to see ourselves as one nation. So everybody has vision for Nigeria, but there's a division because of those interests, either because it's northern or southern or Christian or Muslim or tribal. And I try to depict that in that painting, having a division in the center. Even though there's a vision, there's all kinds of scattered kind of effects around it. And using those bright colors and the dull colors to show the balance in terms of the good and the bad. And at the same time, you see the various lines there depicting ladder, showing that the future is bright. We have a way to go, and we're climbing up. But by and large, I believe that Nigeria has potential. And it is a hope that that potential will be achieved eventually. But we will keep the vision. No matter how divided it is, we'll keep it. And eventually there will be a unity whereby we can all focus and move forward as a nation. So that's the essence of that vision, painting called Vision, which is acrylic on canvas.
Thank you very much. What would you say your vision is for Nigeria for the next 100 years?
My vision for Nigeria for the next 100 years, I think, is going to be exciting. We're already seeing the good news in terms of the economy, in terms of Nigeria being the number one in terms of the economy in Africa. Regardless of how subjective that may be, it shows that there's a potential. And I think the whole world, both the Western world and the Third world and the world in general, believe that Nigeria is a country with potential. And as long as that potential is harnessed and all the talents are harnessed together, we stand to become the true giant of Africa in the very near future. So I have great hope for the country. And I'll keep on producing good works to capture the moment and to project Nigeria.
I see in this piece you've used a lot of orange. Was that deliberate, or was it supposed to represent a particular concept that you're trying to?
Orange is a bright color, and I needed to show as much brightness to portray that Nigeria is a vibrant nation. So I could have used orange, I could have used red, I could have used any other bright color. But I believe I just chose orange because it's a unique color. It's a color that is not commonly used. And I think it gives it that uniqueness.
It is definitely a unique piece and a very beautiful piece. Thank you very much, Dr. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anthony Ndikau, Nigerian artist living in the UK. I've been here for about 10 years now. School at Nsukka. Okay. The work, like she mentioned, is binary codes.
Yes, that's what comes to mind. Binary code, X, zeros and ones.
Yeah, the whole theme of the exhibition was supposed to be 100 years of Nigerian being a unit as in Nigeria. So I figured, okay, initially I was going to write a lot of hundreds all the way. Okay, so and somehow I just said, okay, why don't you make it binary codes? Binary codes are zeros and ones, right? And it's what leads to the information technology we do have right now. And there's endless possibilities of things that can come out of it, okay? So I look at Nigeria in that vein too. The zeros and ones will represent the positives and negatives of us being amalgamated as one country. So, but the title there is Triumph. So I'm not looking at just those two. I'm looking at a base that keeps those two together, makes them existent. Just like if you're trying to say here and there, and there's a space in between that makes it possible for you to say here and there. And once you recognize that space becomes a here, and it keeps endlessly going up and down. So the theme, the title being Triumph, is recognition of that third element, which is a base on which the ones and twos are existent. That's the people of Nigeria. Now we're looking at the British experiment. The information technology, we call it Western technology, and what typifies the West as the English, the ones that colonized us, came to our country, took over our country, and made us their subjects. So we're looking at the experiment of writing up a binary code, having no clue what it's going to turn up. If someone were to take up this code as I've written it right now, as I've arranged it, and let's see, might probably come up with something, a new invention that nobody knows.
You never know.
Never know. I was thinking about the idea of binary code being existent because all the technology we have right now, back in around 1975, I was alive and okay then, a lot of things did not seem possible, like the mobile phones and a lot of things that we have right now, and they've been existent for some time. The ways, the leaps and bounds in which this technology, information technology, has grown, if you check medical, the breakthroughs they've had in medicine, the medical machines that do exist. Even the other day I went to my bank and I was served by an automated program that's telling me how to put my money in my bank and how to get my money. It was just doing everything, no human beings. So it's something that it's limitless in its potential by the time you come to look at examine it. So if Nigeria were to be looked at in terms of binary code, it's endless potential. We have loads of riches, human manpower, the riches of intellect, and a lot of criminal minds too, which are always generated by poverty. All of them build up into what we have as our country right now. Is the British experiment been a success? Is it they are making Nigeria one unit? Has it been a success? Only time will tell. We can probably think about in maybe in about 100 years' time, we'll look and see what Nigeria has become, because it's been regressing from when I was a young child. It's constantly been going downhill. And I'm afraid to say I'm afraid of my country right now because I can't even go home. I'm afraid of kidnap and stuff like that, you know. Always keep getting a lot of those bad news, Ebola, things like that. So, but the main thing is that is an endless possibility that can be positive if we tend to want to harness it that way. But if we want to still keep up with the negative, the people who are robbing the country blind, getting rich, and forgetting the masses, we don't have transportation systems. So let's not go into all the negatives that's going on in the country and all that. So that's so far.
I wanted to talk a bit more about this particular artwork that's called Triumph. When I look at it, I see a juxtaposition of many things, from the very primary, simple medium of wood to a very complicated binary code. And it also brings me back to thinking about those mats that we have at home that we can just throw out.
Yeah, actually, it was a mat at some point because I was working on it to be able to assemble it when I was assembling it here. They said, "You're working on it?" I said, "Yes, I'm working on it. It looks like a mat. Actually, it's the color of a mat. It's woven Like this one's woven, although with wires, a bit pricky and got a lot of bleeding hands then when I was doing it. But being an artwork, it's something I enjoyed doing. It's a bit therapy because it took a long time to do it.
How long did it take you?
Upwards of 2.5 months. So, and that's constantly sitting down at the table and weaving it and cutting each piece and polishing each piece and weaving it in. I later use the color scheme, which tends to represent Nigeria. Green, white, green. You see the gold there? The gold there represents our riches. The white in the sky and the blue and the purple represents our sea, the River Niger and River Benue that divides the country into 3.
Brilliant. Brilliant. There's a lot of brilliance and symbolism in just the wood and the binary code and all of the color that is in there. Thank you very much for your time and thank you for sharing your work with us.
Hello, my name is Ade Ogundemu. I love to introduce myself as a British-born Nigerian. I'm a Nigerian first, and then you can ask me where I was born. Right, I am a painter. I am an impressionist. Painter who sort of conquers his environment. I paint what I can see. And I like the viewers to see space, color, texture, every natural thing. And that's the way I do it. I'm a part of this organization called the Nigeria Art Society in the UK, one of the pioneer members. We've been around since 1992, but this is the first exhibition we're having on Nigeria, the amalgamation since 1914. There's been so many ups and downs in it, but it's been mostly downs though, from my own point of view. I hope it gets better and we stay one.
Okay, great. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about this piece that you call Cabal.
Yeah.
Okay. When I look at it, I see a lot of bondage. Okay? From the words written section to the, I'm not sure if that's a Bible or diary or constitution that has been bound
Desecrated.
and yes, and desecrated. Could you tell me more about your mind frame when you painted this piece?
Right. The Cabal, that's the topic, that's the name of this painting.
What does that mean?
It's like a set of people hidden behind the scenes, pulling the strings for their own selfish means. You know, they get everything for themselves and neglect the masses. It doesn't matter to them how poor anyone is, as long as they get all the power, all the money, and all the adoration. It's all theirs. Now, we had a head of state one in 2009, 2010 called Yaradua. He was a sickly person, though many people say he was a good man, but he was sickly and always needed liver, something to do with his liver and kidney and all, dialysis and everything, the works he needed. So he was always going abroad to get checked and sorted out. And each time he was leaving, he never left the vice president, who's the present president, in charge of anything. That's what the press was saying anyway. And this time he left the country for like 3 months. The whole country was on fire. Everyone was screaming, what's going on? Where's our president? Why isn't the vice president acting as the president? It's Cabal, his wife and their, organization pulling all the strings, even signing the budget from his sickbed. Now, in the Constitution, in our Constitution, it takes care of that. That's the Constitution down there, the 1999 Constitution. In section 144, 145, and 146, it caters for when the president leaves the country and who should be in charge. And if he leaves the country for more than 30 days, someone else should take over and stuff like that. But it was all, thrown in the bin. They didn't go by that. And at the end of the day, it's all a desecration of our Constitution. The whole country was on fire. There was confusion everywhere. Yeah, so I think I managed to capture that and depict it. And this is my own interpretation of that fiasco. Yeah.
This is very interesting indeed. So I see you have a little bit of interest in law and the rule of law and how it ought to be practiced. Could you tell me what you would like to see in Nigeria for the next 100 years in terms of our legal system and the powers that rule us?
I would like to see an independent legal system. Right now, the legal system, the whole of them just work for the presidency mostly. He dictates, or the presidency dictates what they want. The presidency will never lose a case. All his cronies will never lose any case. They will never get arrested, even in the face of blatant evidence of corruption. They won't get charged, they won't get arrested. There's an organization called the EFCC. I don't know, they just go after the poor little Yahoo, they call them Yahoo boys, the internet fraudsters. They concentrate on those ones. The money those guys steal is not even from the country, it's from abroad. So why can't we take care of our own country before we start looking about trying to, sort people abroad out? They don't do that to us, they don't care about us, they care about the country, not our country. Yeah, and the president and his cronies don't lose sleep over this. So I would like to see a very, very independent judiciary in Nigeria to be able to, bring justice the way it's supposed to be, without fear or favor.
I've heard a lot of tonight from your fellow colleagues and things like that as to how the different things that they would like to see. How would we even start with an independent judiciary?
First, well, if I were the president, the first thing I'm going to do is flush out all the top echelon now that are in there right now and promote the underlings up. I don't think we would miss the top guys because all the experience they have is about corruption. They've sort of, let it go down to the junior ones, but the junior ones are not as bad as they are. So I'll get rid of them first and then move the new set up.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ade, for your time. And thank you so much for sharing your inspiration with us.
It's a pleasure.
I'm Lara Igejat, a painter and printmaker.
Could you tell me a little bit about your work and the inspiration behind it?
This particular work is titled Trapped, and it depicts the Chibok girls that were abducted in Nigeria. And I believe this is one of the most pressing issues of our time. So I'm using this format to record it and also to know why they're still there. And today marks the 168th days that they have been there. And it's a shame that we're celebrating 100 years and these girls are still there. And one would think, could this really happen in Nigeria? Is it really happening in Nigeria? So the work is on, because the reason why they have been adopted is known as a Western education. I have the background, the letters in the background and the figures and the alphabet depict the Western education. And when we say Western education, one will want to pause and think, even the firearms they're using is from the Western world. So where does this meet? Don't they think something is wrong somewhere, to think because of Western education they need to be kept away, and they're still there. So it's a shame, and I feel a lot for the parents of these girls. They must be going through a harrowing period. So I just feel I need to record this for prosperity.
I see you use a lot of bold colors, the red, the violets, turquoise. Were there any particular reasons for your choice of colors?
Yes, the blues is to depict the mood, the gloomy mood, and the bright in the background. You can see there is like a sunlight in the background. This is like a hope, because one will still think and hope for these children. So I hope for a better tomorrow for them. And the bright colors within the letters depicts a bright future for these children, and they have been taken away, they have been cut from this bright future. So, but I've put the background to bring a hope for these children.
Yeah, my name is Imwesi Imonige, a graduate of Federal Polytechnic, Auchi, and I major in painting. Yeah, this is one of my pieces in the exhibition. The title is The Last Tree. Yeah. If you look at like the title, the title, the Nigeria experience, transforming the experiencing the British experience for these 100 years. If you look at this work, it's a train that leads from Lagos to Ogun State, Ijoko, and from Ijoko to Lagos every day. If you look at the work, you see the tough terrain, the doggedness of the environment. Our people have to wake up early in the morning, as from 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, to catch up with the 6 o'clock train and the 7 o'clock train. If you look at it, it talks about the kind of government that rule Nigeria. The way the government it's not that Nigeria is a lawless environment. That's why you see people on top of the train and people trying to struggle to get in. No, because of the people are aspiring for the better tomorrow, a better future. Despite we don't have enough transportation, people struggle to get to the train to go to work. They are aspiring for a better tomorrow. But the government are they are subduing the common Nigerians, but the Nigerians are still struggling to get to where they want to be. That is what the work is talking about. After all these years, this is the way Nigeria is. There is no improvement. It's the trade that our colonial master left for us. That is what we are still using. Like in a day, you have 2 trains that run in the morning, the 6 o'clock train, the 7 o'clock train, and in the evening you have the 4 o'clock train and the 6 o'clock train. So that is why the work is the last train. You have to struggle to get in there. And in that your struggle, there's people, you have a lot of things are happening, but you have to struggle to get to work, to make your day to make a living out of it, out of the situation that the government have created for the citizens of the country. That is what I'm saying with the work.
It's a very beautiful piece. Do you predominantly paint with oils?
Yeah, I paint with oil. All my works are oil canvas, and I paint with palette knife.
I can definitely see the rush of the people getting in and out. So, from what you've been saying, you've been talking a lot about the infrastructure of Nigeria, that we're still using the same trains that our colonial masters left for us. What would you like to see in terms of transportation and a better life for Nigerians in the next 100 years?
Yeah, like presently in Lagos, the present governor is doing well. Like we have the BRT now, transport. But the effort they are putting is not enough. If you live in London, you see the mode of transportation. Everything is in the north because the government are able to cater for the entire people in London. But Nigeria, we don't have that for now. But I know some of the governors are trying, but we still have to do more. Understand? Because Nigeria people, we are strong. We are willing to work. We are dedicated to what we are doing, but the government are not helping us. We need more from them. Nigeria is blessed with natural resources that we have everything that it takes to be a better country. So that is what I'm saying. We need a better country. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
My name is Michael Echekoba. I'm one of the 14 artists exhibiting today in commemoration of Nigeria at 100. today coincides with Nigerian independence, as well as 100 years of southern and northern amalgamation of the protectorate of Nigeria. Hence the title, Nigeria at 100, Transcending British Experiment. My art, originally I started painting, and when I came back in the country to the UK, my birthplace, Nigeria was going through a bad press, and so I used to do very observational, celebrative, trying to depict our positive and vibrant side of our lives. But over 20-something years, probably older, and I'm beginning to question issues politically, religiously, and otherwise going on in our country, Nigeria. Now, the theme, which I've earlier said, is Nigeria at 100, Transforming British Experiment. I've addressed it from an abstract point of view, which is conceptual symbolism, using symbols to depict a metaphor of the experience from religious point of view, religious and the perception of what the British colonial masters perceived to be a superior religion or way of life to a system that already has a structural, political, and organizational structure in place. To them, it sounded dysfunctional, but to us, it was working. I.e., they termed traditional religious belief as being a paganist way of worship, in contrast to what they perceive to be a superior Christian faith. My idea is not to question people's belief, but my idea and what I try to depict in my painting is to question the introduction, the concept of a religion from Western point of view, and to equally challenge and equally bring to people's consciousness what exactly is this religion? How superior is it to the religion that we had prior to British people coming? You know, therefore, I want people to sit back and find a way to have a personal thoughts towards their belief. I am a Christian, by the way, but I don't buy everything that is sold to me. Even as much as I've done this, interpreted the painting via a Christian perspective, my idea is not to question people's belief. My idea is to highlight the fundamental introduction of Christianity and the fact that the superior mindset from which the religion was introduced to us, and the way we perceive it, and the way we've held it up to date, and the way Christianity has almost become a yardstick for everything, yet we are still one of the most corrupt nations in the world. And this corruption did not start with just Nigerians. It was a system that was transferred to us by colonial exploitation. You know, so that is the idea behind this. Also, I've equally brought in the hand, which is the exploitative part of it, which is still ongoing, and now we're not just the after effects of the colonization, which is primarily to extort the former colonies, is still ongoing, and the worst side is that we are now beginning to collaborate with them to perpetuate the extortion by way of our leaders trying to stash their money to already wealthy Western worlds.
Thank you very much for that. when I see this particular piece, the engulfment, I see two things that come to mind. I mean, you have really pushed through the religious aspect of God and Mormon here, and like I was telling you just now, you know, the two things you never mess with a Nigerian about is his money and his God. Yeah. So, was there a particular reason why you went for a brighter color like yellow and not maybe something darker and more sinister?
I didn't. I wanted to, as much as we seem to be a fragmented country, I believe there is strength in diversity. I don't know if it's an optimistic view, but being a byproduct of a federal government college, I've seen multi-tribal relationship as in, I think one of the biggest problem we have is mistrust. I don't know if I'm naive, but I'd rather be naive and think this way and believe that we are stronger as a united Nigeria than a fragmented Nigeria.
Of course.
Yeah. As much as we're going through a very difficult patch with the Boko Haram issue, therefore a lot of people might begin to question the sense, the rationale behind the country being together. But we have to go through different phases. But the most important thing is, what are we learning as we're going through these phases? It's sad because I'm not sure we're learning much. That's my honest opinion. But if we are able to come out on the other side, I think we are stronger as a united country than, in other words, hence the question of why didn't I use a somber kind of color? Nigeria is a colorful country. Nigeria is a rich country. Nigeria is a blessed country. The question is, how are we managing these abundant resources? You know, so that's why I've used, and one of the attractions that the West still see in sunny countries are the colors, the sunshine, the vibrancy, and not the subdued kind of monotonous kind of lifestyle that they're having in their country, hence the bright colors.
Thank you very much for that. One more question. What would you like to see in the next 100 years in Nigeria in terms of, you mentioned mistrust, how we can bring Nigeria, bring a united Nigeria in the next 100 years?
I think one of the most poignant decisions I think Nigeria has ever taken was the introduction of unity schools. What it did is that it took people away from their locality and sent them thousand miles away to integrate with people that they will probably otherwise not met in their lives. And there you begin to now see an Hausa guy that is as intelligent as an Igbo guy, an Urobo guy that is as intelligent as an Ishekiri guy, or you begin to judge people on individual basis rather than a whole prejudice on, oh, the Igbos eat people, oh, the Yorubas are this, oh, the Hausas are that. I still don't know if I'm naive. I still don't know if I am too optimistic. But I see a country that might be out of any. I tell you one thing. Creatively, Nigeria, every state in Nigeria should be able to be self-reliant. I tell you, back in the 60s, people from all over Africa used to come to Nigeria. They used to go to University of Ibadan. They used to go to Nsukka. That is revenue that would have been coming to the country. Right now, we are going to Ghana to school. So we are taking our money out of the economy to Ghanaian economy. So if a state like Ondo State or Abia State or for Imo State back in the day that has all the Ekiti, for example, has the highest number of professors in Nigeria, if institution, academic achievement and proper institutions is their hallmark, people from all over the Nigeria will probably be going to school in Ekiti. They don't have to have oil. That would be, look at UK, for example, they charge foreign fees, don't they? So if you're paying 9,000, a foreign student will pay maybe a lot more. So you're generating revenue for the economy. Just like, say, my parents back in those days, things from Japan used to be considered fake. Because after the Second World War, they had to understudy America and they started fabricating things. In our time, I don't know how old you are, but Taiwan used to fabricate things. What happened to Aba? In those days, Igbo maid. I don't know how old you are. Igbo maid was, because of Aba, is died a natural death. What is the government doing about that? You know? So there are loads and loads of things. I would love Nigeria to be in 100 years' time. But most importantly, I think we have to be united. We need to be, and a house that is divided, that house is broken. So that is my message.
Thank you very much, Michael, for your time.
So, hi, my name is Helena Foster, and I'm standing here today with Gbenga Orimoloye, who will be talking to us about his painting. So, Gbenga, actually, this is one of my favorite paintings in this particular exhibition. My favorite as well. Great. So, can you just talk to us a little bit about the work, and in terms of the theme of this particular exhibition, celebrating Nigeria at 100, but not in terms of the actual date of our independence, as it is our independence today as well, but looking at Nigeria in terms of the amalgamation of the North and South. I mean, when Nigeria came together in 1914. But yeah, can you just elaborate on that and talk to us a bit about your work, please?
Okay, well, my work is an expression of post-British influence in Nigeria. Not directly, but it's part of, I would say, part of the results of, if you like, the experiments, the British experiments in Nigeria, creating a country and, you know, as you said, an amalgamation of northern and southern, and in fact, several hundreds of different languages. I mean, the different groups of people who speak absolutely different languages. The present time, we artists have been able to create, have been able to marry different aspects of culture, of expression, of sources of topic and themes. And why I say that is that an artist such as myself, for example, I've been able to use a Western kind of method or approach of art, which is the discipline of painting, using oil paints and linseed oil and artist white spirits and turpentines, which my ancestors, the artists in the parts of the world where I come from, wouldn't have used. I mean, I've been able to use these tools or this medium to create images that reflect my culture or my upbringing. And I've been able to bring, in a sense, I see it as being a marriage of the legacy of Western nations such as Britain and infused with the iconic relevance and iconic images from my background and from a place like Nigeria and Africa generally.
So what I get from that is you're really interested in painting, yes, in terms of the, you know, the fact that you pick on the fact that, you know, it's something that is very English thing. I mean, that's where that British aspect comes into it. And of course, you're kind of marrying it with the kind of traditions in terms of your imagery and your choice of image. You've chosen to kind of portray women here who look very much like your typical traditional attire, where they've got the biggie gele on and the coral beads and the kind of big, I'm not sure what that is. I don't want to call it agbada because I know that is for the men, not the women. But it's interesting here because I think there's something very subtle and nice about your palette that you've chosen here. It's very kind of, you got really nice subtle blues mixed with the grays and whites. And I just wondered, in terms of your choice of colors, how do you kind of decide what colors kind of go with what mood you're trying to create within your work?
Yes, that's a very good question. I'm very spontaneous every now and again when I do my painting. Sometimes I actually plan the colors or the paints. The tones and the colors I use. In this particular instance, I didn't really plan the color. Actually, there was another painting that I had started to create, and sometimes I'm not very happy with my own works. I mean, this thankfully doesn't happen too many times, but it does happen every now and again. So I wasn't very pleased with the painting, and so I scraped all of the paint and sort of, had a very huge dollop, because as you can see, I use a lot of paint when I create my pieces. You would see it has a lot of texture, and there's a lot of paint swashing around all over the place. So what I've done is I've mixed all the colors, and it's been able to give me this tertiary color, because the colors tend to break each other when you mix them all together. You have primary colors, secondary colors, and you've just sort of mixed everything together. And in this case, I'm trying to sort of economize the fact I didn't want to throw away huge quantities of paint. So I find that I'm able to, perhaps due to the amount of work that I've done over the years, getting to know my own technique, my own style, my own medium, the way the oil paint behaves. I've concentrated a lot more on oil paint, so I'm very used to the way it behaves. So I'm able to mix the colors together and come up with things that I did not necessarily intend to create. And then as I move the paint around on the surface of the canvas or on the board, then I start to see forms and things that sort of work. It's really always, well, not always, but most times about a feeling, as opposed to a choice of color or a choice of, image or choice of a pose or whatever it is. It's a feeling. And once that feeling is there, you just sort of know when to stop. Because if you don't, you get to a point where you go beyond it, and then everything you do after that point starts to actually take away. Yeah. So
it's kind of making it do something it doesn't want to.
Yes,
yeah.
And then you actually say to yourself, like I've experienced once in a while, it's like, oh, I should have stopped at such and such a time, because now the painting looked better an hour ago than it looks now. So I think for every artist, and I suppose in my case as well, I think the thing is working out when to stop and when to walk away from the painting. And this painting is a typical example of the process I described. And I think it sort of worked in this case because I didn't really plan it the way it has turned out. But at the same time, I had some sort of forms in my mind. And a lot of my images are things that I've thought about. And even though I didn't sketch them, like in this particular painting, I didn't sketch these forms, I just created them. Yes, because they've always been in my heart. So I can just translate it and put it down. And as soon as I put it down, I'm able to compare it with what I saw in my heart. And when it works, I realize I need to stop. And that's how it goes.
So now just last question. So I'm looking at this painting.
Yes.
And interesting enough, all the women are kind of position facing.
Yes, they're
forward, profile views.
Yeah.
So Nigeria, today our independence.
Yes.
Nigeria celebrating 100 years.
Yes.
British experiment.
Yes.
Where do you see us looking? Are we heading in the forward, right direction?
I would like to believe that we're heading in the forward and the right direction.
Because ladies in this painting,
These
they have this upright kind of stance about that.
Yes, I believe they do. And I think metaphorically speaking, they do, which is why I have them feature in a lot of my paintings anyway. They're metaphorical. They represent strength. They represent dignity. They represent elegance. And that's why I sort of tend to dress them the way I usually do. And sometimes I exaggerate some aspects of their costume, like the gele. I mean, it's a bit safe in this one, but there are some of my pieces that the gele is actually almost as big as the person that's wearing it. Because, I'm trying to make a statement that these women look very regal and they look very confident. And each one of them is an instance of what we believe our nation or our people should be like. So we have something good, that is of us that we need to celebrate and we need to project to the better part of ourselves. So I would like to believe they're looking forward and they're upright.
Wenger, here we are at your second piece which you're exhibiting in this show. So this is a slightly different painting and it's got a different feel and energy to it.
Yes.
It's very vibrant, the colors are more loud,
yes.
Especially with this woman who's at the forefront of the painting. She's in red, which is like,
Yes.
alarm.
Yes.
I mean, at the same time, there's so much movement in this as well. And can you maybe just talk to us a bit about what the difference is between the previous painting and this one as well?
Okay, so in this one, what I've tried to do is to, as you said, create a little bit more energy. The red is very deliberate to try to give the figure some advancement. So it's like that's where your eyes go to straight away. And in this particular piece, she's dancing. So the dance means a lot. There are volumes and there are layers of meaning in the dance. And as we discussed in the other piece where we said the women were looking forward, in this one, one of the women is dancing, and that tells us that we're going through situations that despite what we go through, we're still able to celebrate, we're still able to dance, we're still able to enjoy life, exactly. And again, beyond just the natural meaning, we have the metaphorical meaning as well. So we're looking at a situation where the country will have an attitude of with this celebration, an attitude of celebration about it, despite all the challenges that we face, be it bad governance, be it leadership that is insensitive to the people, whatever it is, it's signifying hope, and it's signifying a better situation and position for all of us.
We're here with Titus Agbara here this evening at the opening of the Nigeria at 100 exhibition. Can you please tell us a little bit about your painting? I've noticed you're probably the only artist in the show who's painting landscape, who's making landscape paintings here.
Yes.
And
I'm a landscape painter. I do a lot of landscapes, yeah, but actually there's still some tendency to portraiture and figures in my work, which I intend doing for now. Yeah, move away a little bit from the landscapes because people find it difficult to relate with what's going on in Africa when they see the type of landscape I used to paint, because I'm in love with way back 60s, 70s, how we used to be, how I started growing up, not something that has been deformed with the present day technology. Yeah, that takes me back to my past.
Now that's interesting, because in a way this painting summarizes a bit of both of those things you just talked about in terms of figurative of portraits and kind of landscape. Because within this, what I just noticed a second ago, I can see some sort of figures within the background of this painting, and then we have in the foreground the kind of lovely flowers as well. So where is this imagery from? Do you imagine this? Is it from an image, an actual photograph, and if so, what part of the world is this?
It's not really, it's just an imagination, the artist's own interpretation of how I portray Nigeria to be in the next 100 years to come. You know what's going on in Africa today? There's some kind of religious and political crisis everywhere, and a lot of things have happened, caused deaths of our people, the land, the environment is no more suitable for us to live. But I'm projecting Africa, not relating it to just using Nigeria as a context, how it will be like in the next 100 years to come.
So is it safe to say you're an environmentalist as well? In terms of are you for the land should be green and we should all recycle it?
It's how God's created it to be from the creation, but man has destroyed its ecosystem, and now there's so lot of diseases or whatever, so lot of outbreaks suddenly, which we never expect, because we have destroyed what the land is being meant for from the beginning. Now I'm projecting it that we just have to recreate it, go back to the past, revisit it again, and try to make it the way it is from the past, and we could live a very peaceful life again.
So when we talk about the past, so what is your vision in terms of your memory of Nigeria in the past? Are you looking at it from, I don't know, do you live now in London or...
It says the good old days.
So what is the good old days? Because I mean...
The good old days, during my time, I'll say the good old days. When I have kids, my kids will say also the good old days. So definitely there's no bad days. We're still living in the same frequency or the same sequence. Yeah, even my own forefather said the good old days. I said, what? He said, now it's not good. But in my time too, I would say the good old days, that now it's not good to my kids. So that is to say, there is no bad days, but however, we still have to keep whatever experience you have within now, and you figure it out what's going on before, we still have to make everything flow. We still have to flow with the happenstance and how it's going on to be. That's how I just look at it, at life in general.
So did these particular flowers in this painting mean anything to you?
Yeah, this painting itself, it's just symbolic. Yeah, it's a representation of the trees as human figures. You can see some faces, and they are not just standing on their own, but they are together, living together. That's why I titled it Families. The families is not only now, the families we are looking beyond. Those that have gone before us and those that are still going to come after us also. So it's like I'm trying to unite everybody together, and that unity will also create that vibrancy in us. If there's no unity, then there's war. And if there's war, the land will not be good for everybody to live in. So the painting is all about uniting us, projecting us for the future, and when the land is green and there's beautiful flowers, then we'll all live a happy life on the earth.
That's a very beautiful way of looking at it. I mean, in terms of we have this, and what's interesting actually, and what I pick up from this show, it's everyone has this idea of really wanting the best for Nigeria and really wants it to kind of progress and move forward. And in terms of your work, you've kind of done that with this idea of this green, luscious, painting full of like beautiful flowers and leaves that are very alive, and and in a way that's kind of symbolic towards what you want in terms of a greener Nigeria, a better Nigeria, and that is beautiful. That everyone's got a very positive message. So I hope our Nigerian leaders are paying attention to this because everyone is behind Nigeria, and I guess everyone wants it to do well. And but this is great.
Nigeria is a very great nation anyway, and we are bound to do well, and we are bound to progress in every endeavor in our lives. So definitely, it's just that I would say our leaders, whosoever is leading us, it's not really carrying the whole nation along, and that's where the problem lies.
Can we talk about your next painting, because I think it's slightly different from this style, so I'll be quite keen to see what the difference is. Yes, we're gonna move over.
Okay.
I think it's that. So here we are looking at a painting which is one of yours as well. Looks to me slightly different. In terms, the landscape is still there, but in this time you've included very realistic, figures in it, which are very figurative. And I kind of get the sense of a kind of northern feel to it. So you can just expand on that and tell us what the inspiration behind this painting is.
Okay, the painting itself, I titled it There is a River. It still boils down to the title we have in the exhibition, looking at Nigeria in the next 100 years. The landscape here, it's still taking us back to the way we used to live, differ from the Western civilization. And the figure you see in the painting, they're moving out, they're going towards a certain place. Yeah, and I titled it There is a River because when I say there is a river, the title of the exhibition is like transforming the British experiment. What is the British experiment? What it's about? It's like during the time of the colonial masters, what they've brought to us and they've indoctrinated us with. That's what we are following, and we are living by it. But I try to represent it on the cloud here. If you look at the way the formation of the clouds, like the River Thames. Yeah, just take it from that. So there is a river. And during the ancient time, if God wants to lead his people, he do lead them with the signs from the top, either with a pillar of cloud or with a pillar of fire. So there is a river which the people living in this part of the world are moving to. And what the Bible, it's a kind of religious feeling that I have in the painting. What the Bible says when it says there is a river, I will take us down to Psalm chapter 46 that says, it said that, okay, there is a river, a stream, where glad shall make the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacle of the Most High. There's a river in this painting, meaning there's something ahead of us which they are moving up to, which is better, glorious ending. And it's well interpreted in that my former painting, where you can see the flowers blossoming and everything and stuff like that. So this is like an extension to the other bigger piece which I've just explained to you. That's why I said there is a river. Definitely they are moving to the river. And when they go to the river, it gives...
Wow. Wow, that's interesting when you're talking about a Bible quote and looking to that, and we're referring to the Northerners, which are usually Muslims, for example. But not that it's a bad thing. I'm not saying that's wrong. But also it's interesting because, as you said, they're all moving. They've got their. I can see like some people are carrying a bit of, their possessions and their cattle. And they're heading kind of outwards, away from the houses and their little huts, and that's interesting because it's almost like they're on a journey towards something, somewhere. They might not know where. And in a way, that's the lifestyle of the Northerners. It
definitely tends towards moving towards the riverside, and the river is very scarce. It's a very scarce commodity when it comes to places in the faraway north.
So it's almost like they're on a journey where they don't know where they're heading to. They don't know whether they find that water or
because there is a river. If they look up to the cloud, that's the formation of the River Thames, and that's where the guidance comes in. So definitely they know where they are heading to.
Great. So they need to kind of connect with the guidance of the clouds, which will lead them to the journey, the destination, which will then end up being in the other painting, which we looked at in the first place. Which is that a place already of peace and of perfect harmony.
Love, unity, progress, stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah. Great. Thank you so much for that. Thanks.
My name is Chike Azonye. As you know, I'm a member of the Nigeria Art Society UK. And this is our second exhibition. And here I have one of my paintings, which I call the Gathering.
So just tell me a little bit more about the Gathering. How did this painting come about, and what, in terms of the colors? I can see there's different kind of elements and aspects to it in terms of the shapes and the colors, and I'd like to know how you come to that decision while you paint.
Well, as you can see, this is, I don't know whether to use the word the cult of ancestors, but from where I come from, we believe in reincarnation. And what I've done here is to relate that to my painting, to show the two worlds, as they say, the as above, so below. So what I've done is to relate to the upper world and the lower world. Here you have images that suggest our terrestrial aspect, and here we have the higher aspect of life, and some images that represent the ancestral spirits. And here you have like a pregnancy, like a pregnant woman with a fetus about to give birth to a being, and that's what I'm trying to do here. So, if you look at the painting, you see that we have the sun, that also the unborn child, which a form of rebirth. That's what I'm trying to exhibit in this whole sphere, and then that manifests down to the terrestrial level, symbolized by this here. And the same applies to this aspect of the painting as well, because these are all terrestrial levels. So it's very, very symbolic, and borrows from the belief in my village, from where I come from, that Isukwato in Abia State, where we have this belief in reincarnation. I think it goes across all Igbo land, that people reincarnate into their families, back into their families. And I have symbolically represented that here in this painting.
So I'm really fascinated by that, because in a way, are you referring to a particular family here, or your family, for example? Because I kind of get the sense of, when I'm thinking of reincarnation, for example, because the idea which you've got here is you've got this the kind of ancestral world up here, and the and the underworld down here. And you've got this pregnant woman with the fetus, and she gives birth, which we end up being transferred back into reality, life here.
It's like
so it's a continuous circle. Yeah, it is. So I just wondered if this was maybe referring to your personal family heritage.
Not necessarily, because this is something that happens in the whole Igbo land, or maybe the whole some aspects of some areas in Africa. But what I'm trying to do here is to also relate it to Nigeria, where we have different ethnic groups trying to coexist. It hasn't been easy. It has been very, very difficult to coexist as a people called Nigeria, which borrows from the theme of this exhibition. And this is what I'm trying to relate to this to this show. And as you can see, I've applied some aspect of uli, which is the symbol or the motif of the Igbo people of Eastern Nigeria. You can see the Isinwaoji here. Yes, that is when you break the kola nut. The 4 pieces of the kola nut are here, there, and then 4 of them. And they also represent the 4 market days: Eke, Orie, Nkwo, and is it? Oh yeah, 4 of them. Yeah. Now, when you because in Igbo land we don't have we don't have a 7 days week. Yeah, we have 4 market days, and that's what I'm trying to represent here, the 4 market days of the week of the Igbo calendar, and I've tried to symbolically represent both the higher and the lower worlds as they manifest in our lives, and to kind of render the work in a very, very stylistic way. So if you look at it, they look like castles, but they are not. They are human. They are people, but they are kind of rendered in a very symbolic way. So all I've done here is to make sure that the works are symbolically represented, and to convey a meaning, and that's the meaning I have given to this painting. That's why I called it the gathering. Yeah.
So it's like a gathering of all the different aspects of the
ancestral lineage, and the gathering of the whole of the whole aspects that make up the country Nigeria.
Yes.
Yeah. So
we are celebrating the amalgamation of Nigeria.
Yes, I could safely say that this is Yoruba people, Hausa people, Bendel people, Igbo people.
The biggest.
Okay, you could say you could reverse it actually. You could say what, but I'm just saying that these are diverse people coming together to form a country. But they are struggling. They are struggling because they are from different. They have different languages. We have more than 200 languages in Nigeria, and without English and Pidgin English, we'll be lost, because we won't understand what people are saying, because we are all speaking different languages. So, in that light, those are some of the challenges which we have overcome in this 100 years of existence, and I'm happy that in this exhibition now we have 14 artists from different ethnic backgrounds in Nigeria coming together as friends to have this wonderful exhibition today in London.
So do you think maybe at a point when Nigeria gets to find a perfect balance, and if you were to repaint this painting when that time comes, do you think maybe all the different sides, if you refer to this as the Northerners and the Igbos, would there be like a perfect
Yes.
balance to it?
The point, yes, I could still use this symbol, but I would use this in a different way to say that there's a union, a cohesion of these people coming together as one people. Yes, I'm not saying that Nigeria is not one people, but there are still differences. There are some issues that are still to be answered. There are issues stemming back from the civil war that is still not answered, the Biafra-Nigeria civil war. There are issues of ethnicity, the Yorubas and the Igbos, the Hausas, and etc. that still needs to be resolved, so that we begin to work together as a nation. Because a divided house means that they cannot have progress. So we have to come together as a people to begin to build our nation.
My name is Hassan Aliyu. I'm a painter. I studied at ABU Zaria. I graduated in 1986 and received the Nigerian Art Council Prize for Best Final Year Student in Fine Art in my year of graduation. I am an avid, committed artist. I am one of the first generation of Nigerian artists who took to full-time studio practice upon graduation. At the time in 1986, the scene was much different from what it is today. We eked out a living, myself and a lot of my colleagues, and we sort of brought around the fanfare and the fashion of art exhibition attendance and art collecting in Nigeria back in the mid to late 80s. And I came to England upon invitation by Emmanuel Jegede to come and participate in an exhibition with him. At the time, I just had a couple of exhibitions in Lagos which ran concurrently. One of them was with Joe Musa at the National Museum in Lagos, and at the same time I had another show which was a quartet at the National Gallery of Craft and Design in Lagos. My last show, however, in Lagos was the commemoration of Glasnost and Perestroika, and hence this was the opening of cultural exchanges by the Russian government, who opened the cultural center in Lagos. So I was the first artist to exhibit there, and the exhibition was attended by 13 ambassadors, 2 national ministers, ministers of the Nigerian government. Coming to London for me was what I felt I needed at the time in my career. I needed to expand to outside of Nigeria. Given the arts in Nigeria then was quite limited, and in fact we'd sown the seeds to what is such a great, wonderful, vibrant scene today. But coming to London for me was an adventure in self-rediscovery. Having been born in London 25 years before, coming to London as a 25-year-old artist, self-employed as an artist for very, very many years. So the experience of coming to London provided for me food for all the work I was subsequently to do and work I'm doing today still, which deals with the black identity. The black identity is important to me because back in the early 90s in London, it's so much more different now that we've got the internet and globalization, which have allowed a lot of cross-pollination of cultures, and a lot of multiculturalism as a result has evolved in the UK. But back then in 1990, you as a black artist felt yourself completely outside of the periphery, on the periphery of the mainstream art scene in the UK. And so it was a struggle for me, both as an artist as well as a black person in the UK, dealing with the questions of racism. What brought me to UK is not unusual to what brought other people who today live in the diaspora to the UK. The UK, Britain, colonized most of the world, and at one stage Britain ruled the world, ruled the waves, ruled the lands, right? And basically the colonization of half of the world by Britain meant that we felt certain sort of colonial affinities to coming back here, and as such my parents came to study here in the 50s, and so I was born here. So the black identity issues and questions for me is today I've got my family living here and I've got children who need to have a frame of reference, who need to know that once upon a time, before the contact with the West, before 100 years ago, before the centenary, the amalgamation of Nigeria, that they had a grand kingdoms of their own, they had their own sense of divinity and nobility. A lot of which people who haven't had the experience, or children who haven't had the benefit of having had a parent such as me to introduce them to firsthand, will not know, and then hence will be deficient of that experience. Nigeria was amalgamated 100 years ago by Britain, not because it was in the best interest of Nigeria to be amalgamated. As a matter of fact, Nigeria was bought from the Royal Niger Company for a few £1,000s at the time. For a few £1,000s, it was bought from the Royal Niger Company by the British government, right? And the whole reason why Nigeria was a company, effectively, Nigeria was set up as a company to produce primary products and raw material for British industries, and also to be a consumer of the offshoot of the rejected, the inferior goods produced in Britain had to be sent somewhere to be disposed of for money-making purposes. So, and then the British colonial policy was one of divide and rule. So effectively, people were sort of cut off from their mainland communities and effectively created into islands and then merged into this whole sort of hegemony which became Nigeria, where divide and rule, the implications of divide and rule are such that while the people are warring amongst themselves, the colonial power or the master has nobody to challenge their status quo, effectively, so colonialism can perpetuate itself for the next eternity, if you like. So, so my painting here specifically deals with the issues of the loss of identity as a result of the absorption or the observance of a foreign spirituality. And it's the observance of a foreign spirituality that is the basis of the conflicts that we see, religious conflicts, which is one of the most significant set of events happening in Nigeria today. Everybody internationally, globally knows about the Boko Haram question, and this directly is akin to that. So I've taken here a black symbol of light, a black symbol of hope. I call him a black symbol of hope only because he's a black person.
Being Nelson Mandela.
Indeed, yes. But is beyond a black icon. He's a global icon, as we know now. He's a global icon of the struggle which became his life. The struggle to project for equality and to project the grandeur of his race, right? To be regarded, And so here I've juxtaposed that figure of light, right, against the figure of light, who 2,000 years before him was crucified on the cross and was also incarcerated. So hence the bars that you see there are bars of incarceration, such as the dark bars you have there. But then there's a light which has been transmitted through that figure into the angelic figure. The figure of the angel is bearing on their hand the symbol of the lantern, which for me I have used because the lantern is the most popular sort of means of lighting your house in Nigeria today. So I've repeated the symbol of the lantern, but I've also got the symbol of the trumpet. And the symbol of the trumpet symbolizes for me enchantment. And I've used certain spiritual and religious sort of iconography and pillars of religion and the various faiths, where I'm trying to project the foreignness of these faiths. This is not originated from any of our indigenous religious practices, and hence the conflicts and the dynamics of these religions has created a divide rather than a unifying factor amongst our people. Yet, this exhibition is predominated by Nigerian artists from various parts of Nigeria. So the tenacity of my people is the reason why the experiment which was made to, or intended to, and destined to make us fail as a people who would be continually warring, has gone wrong, obviously, here, because in this exhibition, there's people from various parts of Nigeria who are showing their work unified in one purpose, and that purpose to show that we are better than has been projected out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I also wanted to ask you, I see this little corner here that looks like an artist's palette. Well, could you explain a bit more there?
Yes, indeed it is. In my affluent present day, I have a lot of paints to waste. So very often times, my paints dry on my palette. And what happens, I don't go scraping it off, I just throw it away because my palette is cheap plexiglass anyway, yeah? So I threw it away rather than scrape them because I can't recycle them. But it just occurred to me, this picture is made of found materials. There's no paint work here. The only paint in this painting is that. So basically, the only paint in this artwork, I dare say it's a painting because it's an artwork. So the only paint in this artwork is that. Everything else is made from found recycled material. I used to play the lottery, I still do. I've never won anything significant. So therefore, my failed win lottery tickets is what I've reused here as a collage. This painting is a collage. It's got some drawing elements because this is a drawing I did in 1990, so 24 years ago. I've utilized in this painting, in this artwork. And also, there's found chips of paper. There's a ripped up passport application form, British passport application form ripped up. As there is also a box from pizza delivery shop down my street. So all the rubbish that comes through my door, I've managed to sort of reassemble as art material. And this is going way back to when I went to uni. I went to uni right at the onset of the structural adjustment program, Babangida Structural Adjustment Program, which at that time, there was embargo on the importation of art materials for most Nigerian institutions. So the inventiveness that arose from that is the typical sort of inventiveness that has arisen in many of the other things that we do as a people. We are so resilient that we won't let one handicap hold us back and we'll forge ahead regardless of handicap.
Thank you very much, Hassan.
So this evening we've been at the WAC Gallery here in Waterloo, and we've been looking at artists' works who are all of Nigerian heritage, who are part of this Nigerian Art Society, the NAC here in London. They represent artists who are of Nigerians who are here in the diaspora. And also here they've been responding, the title of this exhibition is called Nigeria at 100. Transforming a British Experiment, and every artist showcasing in this show has responded to that theme. So it is on till the 1st of November, and we hope that you all come and check it out. There's some interesting works here, and we hope that you come and see the show. Enjoy. Right, in there was a whole lot of interesting artists and fascinating works, and we hope you enjoyed it as much as we do today. Thank you.